A brief break allowed our drivers to recuperate, but they don't return to business as usual. For the first time this season, our drivers take to the dirt. Lanier and the dirt street stocks will make for a good introduction, but it will certainly be far different from anything else they've raced this season. Let's see who adapts as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the South Sound Speedway E-Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Gary Weaver. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lanier has been through a lot, but this version is interestingly more of a historic one. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Lanier National Speedway, now known as Lanier Raceplex, finally started seeing racing action again a few years ago. Before the track went silent in 2011, it was a common feature on touring short track series schedules across the southeastern United States, but today we harken back to an age before Lanier was even paved. Lanier was originally built as a 3/8 mile dirt oval back in 1982, and it saw plenty of weekend dirt track action with your late models and street stocks. As open-wheel dirt track racing became more popular across the Southeast, the world of outlaws, sprint cars even made some trips here in the mid-80s. Midgets and sprints, USAC Silver Crown, they all took their turns. But alas, Lanier was paved in 1987. But thankfully, in the world of iRacing, we can harken back to the days where the cushion and tire stagger were king and put modern dirt racing vehicles back onto Lanier. It's time to sling some mud in Georgia.
Well, Gary, we've seen them race the street stocks on the pavement side over at Charlotte. I suspect this is going to be very, very different from that.
Most definitely, Joe. This is going to be absolutely amazing. A 0.38 mile track with banking ranging from 5 to 11 degrees, and well, it's a lot, especially with dirt going back to its old roots essentially with Lanier, and I think it's going to be a very, very incredible race here with these dirt street stocks.
I think so as well. And before we get to the racing, let's mention our sponsors for this series, starting, of course, with Key Property Services. Key Property Services, Inc. is a locally owned full-service property management, real estate, and construction contracting company. KPS has been serving the greater Clark County area for over 30 years. For more information, visit kpsinc.net. That's kpsinc.net. Key Property Services, where service is the key. And also, this series is brought to you by United Roofs. As specialists in residential and commercial roofing services, they're dedicated to providing customer service that is second to none. Whether you have a new construction project or it's time for repairs, they offer the roofing services you need. To learn how to book a free estimate, go to unitedroofs.com. So let's take a look at the championship points and where we sit so far. For this race, Travis Barnes leading Isaiah Gill by 8 points. And there's only 2 separating Gill and TJ Hartman, and then 2 more back to Eric Johnson Jr. From there, you finally get a bit of a gap down to Andrew Johnson, who sits in 5th. But it is incredibly tight from 2nd down to 4th. Travis Barnes' consistency has allowed him at least a little breathing space, but not a whole lot. Gary, it is a new style of racing, so why don't you run down our format, since this is going to be just slightly different from what we typically have here.
Something that I'm very much used to here, but tonight it's going to be round 5 of 12 utilizing the dirt street stocks here at Lanier. It's going to be a 100 lap race. There is going to be a heat race format. Top 15 from qualifying will be going immediately to the feature, and then it will be a race for the top 5 drivers in the next and only heat to get into the feature, which will be 20 cars in total, and caution flags will be handled by race control.
So unfortunately, that means that we will see, as it stands right now, just 1 car go home. We could still have someone else join in before qualifying is over with 5 minutes each. Well, I guess 4 minutes left currently. We'll have about 9 more minutes before drivers have to show up around here. Currently out in the number 64, Brock Denny holds the top time in the warm-up. You can see they can certainly beat and bang on each other around this track, and Brock Denny sporting very appropriate livery on that street stock as he goes around, unfortunately getting involved in a little bit of an accident. I can already see, Gary, it looks like in the warm-up they've got the groove at the bottom starting to come in, and the track is evolving quite quickly.
And that's going to be a very thing to note, as well as spacing as well here in these dirt street stocks as well. A lot of contact is going to be made here for this afternoon's race. It's going to be very much something to keep in mind. But back to your point, Joe, about the racing line, that's going to be the story tonight, and that's the story usually of some dirt tracks here on the iRacing service. You start low on the inside lane, and then once that part of the track gets rubbered in, you slowly work your way up to the outside lane. And if you run dirt races long enough, you'll be able to get the cushion up on that right rear portion of your car on that tire as well as the outside wall.
Yeah, you can see it's worked its way up about halfway up the track so far as we ride on board with Beatty, showing you just how to get the right rear tire out to that cushion that's formed currently in the midst of the track. He's going to try and go a little lower, it looks like, on his way in, just kind of experimenting. It seems like for those, I guess, new to dirt racing, if they're tuning in for the first time, experimentation is a bit of a key word.
That's very much a very key thing. It's trying to figure out which part of the track is going to be the best to keep that momentum, but at the same time, keeping that speed, keeping the car under control, that's going to wear away the more that not only you use that, but the more often that other drivers use that as well.
Not surprising seeing guys like Travis Barnes and Eric Johnson Jr. up towards the top of the timing sheets as well. They've been some of the faster drivers as we were on board with Isaiah Gill, another of our faster drivers, but he's currently 8th on the timing sheets as he clipped the inside wall. I have found that's a bit of a danger around this track as they've got that concrete wall way down to the inside, but I guess early in the race that could be a real problem for those who are doing like Isaiah did.
Yeah, that inside wall, if you run close enough, you can time it just right. Well, place the car, I should say, just right, where if you place that the left front tire of the car on that inside lane, you can just keep that car under control. You can just stick to the inside, but again, don't expect it to last long, especially over 100 laps.
When we get that feature, this track is going to look very different from beginning to end. Now, from what I understood, the stewards talking before the race started saying that they will refresh the track between each session. So they should at least not have it too worn in once they get to the qualifying here, which should start in just about a moment. I think this is a new name that we haven't seen here yet. Cole Raz. Have we seen?
We have
number
actually.
21. Oh, what?
Arca
sorry, go ahead.
Phoenix.
Ah, that's where we've seen him at. Okay, so they of course brought in a lot of drivers there with the ARCA cars out in Arizona. So that's why I didn't quite remember that name. You see the double aught going by. That's Sean Jones. Still getting adapted to this dirt racing thing, as he's currently the farthest down among the drivers who've set a time about a second off of our leader. He'll certainly tried his hardest right now. As the last 15 seconds tick down, should get to the qualifying. Only 2 laps in this qualifying. You know, we talk a lot about the qualifying, the first to the second lap. Does that really matter much here at a track like this, Gary? Is it just kind of either one can work for you, or do you got to kind of spool it up?
In some ways, it depends on as well as the weather conditions. Personally, from even past races on GSRC with dirt races that even I've been commentary on, it's usually the first lap. But considering that this qualifying session is going to be in the mid-afternoon, just about, well, that could be incredibly different.
All right, qualifying has started. It's not going to take long here. They've got 5 minutes, but the laps go very, very fast. You're looking at 17-second laps, but they can't touch the outside wall. That will disqualify your lap. You cannot make contact out there. Watch out for that among the drivers waiting for these first few times to get on the board. I love the Taco Bell scheme that we've got. That is for Travis Barnes.
Echoing the words of Sean, also saying that it's making him hungry. I can say the same because I unfortunately didn't eat before this, and now this is, well, if this is Travis's idea, he's doing a wonderful job as he sits on provisional pole right now. Brock Denny 0.039 seconds back, and everyone else, even Scott Dagenstein, actually taking his time, maybe trying to make sure that he's going to get the right line in.
Casey Tillman coming through to set his final lap. Gets down to a 17 flat. He goes on to row 2 just ahead of Eric Johnson Jr. Things still swapping around. We're waiting on a couple drivers to put times on the board. Ooh, love this paint scheme for Caden Anderson. Beautiful, beautiful maroon purple on that thing. Kenneth Garber getting ready to set his first time in the number 96 as we watch William Potts try to put the 44 onto the timing sheets. Garber with a 17.981 is going to put himself into 16th, which means he will have to work a little bit harder to try and qualify for the feature later on, potentially here.
Again, it's going to be the top 15 that automatically go to the feature. So Presley, now make that McLeod now actually both at the edge of pretty much getting eliminated. Scott Dagenstein trying to wrap up his qualifying run, get the best, and that's the first time I've seen actually that get tied, unless it actually was his fast lap. But regardless, not enough for Scott Dagenstein, unfortunately. Chris Torres in a little bit of a worrying zone, but 12th place isn't too bad.
Well, it's set actually now, so let's go through our drivers. They're going to get through Travis Barnes, Brock Denny, Casey Tillman, Eric Johnson Jr., Caden Anderson, Bryce Beatty, Isaiah Gill, Kenneth Garber, Cole Raz, Andy Johnson, Dylan Huffins, Chris Torres, Eric Cheney, Kyle Matthews, and Jeff Peterson have all automatically advanced to our feature. So looks like we've got our 6 that are going to have to work their way in through the first heat, but we've got one going home here, Gary.
Not only the first heat, but as well as the only heat. 20 laps as well, luckily. So it's going to be a bit of very much more forgiving in some cases. Everyone did, again, put in a qualifying time, one going home. So being that last person, it's going to be just absolute heartbreak in some cases.
Nobody wants to be the lone person that gets cut out in this race, and somebody's got to do it as we wait for the qualifying to finish up here. I think they're going to advance the session. Looks like they're going to just give it a little bit longer in case we do get a latecomer. As we mentioned, we could get 1 or 2 more people in, but once they get down to under about 30 seconds, then nobody's able to put a time down, unfortunately. And looks like that is it. So qualifying is done. We're waiting for our first heat to grid up here. Looks like I have the pace truck out there. And so heat 1 is set for today. Ryan McLeod will start on the pole with Derek Presley in second. First half of the field, Gary, going to be rounded out by Matthew Dichinowski.
And then the second half of the field, it will be Sean Jones in 4th, Scott Dagenstein in 5th, and then 6th place being rounded out by William Potts in that 44.
All right, we should see them take off here in a moment. There goes the pace truck. We get 2 pace laps. 88 will then be given control.
I'm actually quite excited because the only times really I've seen dirt races, or I should say commentated dirt races, were all in the at least sunset going into night or just fully under the lights. So this is going to be a very fun change for me. I just noticed actually the wheel rims on the 88 are very, very noticeable. I actually like that on the right side of the car.
I've seen some very clever things done with some of those rims. One of the only cars that you can really do that on iRacing. As the pace truck gets ready to peel off, what kind of start are we going to get from McLeod? Green flag is out. He is off very well. Second place is certainly up for grabs as Presley goes up high, a little way too high. And the number 18 of Dichinowski is able to get into P2. A lot of cars banging amongst each other in the outside wall, and the double out of Sean Jones with heavy damage, along with Derek Presley getting turned around. No caution yet.
Presley stuck on the inside wall. This might prompt it as he reverses, and it looks like they'll let it keep going, but Presley, unfortunately, with not enough turning room to get around as soon as possible. He is still back going, and Ryan McLeod, unfortunately for Presley, is starting to very quickly bear down on him.
So up at the front, it is still Ryan McLeod leading the way, being chased by Dichinowski. They're going to lap Derek Presley pretty soon. Oh, and coming together, the 88 gets spun to the inside. The 18 continues on. Still not seeing a caution out quite yet. He gets the car moving, so Dichinowski, your new leader.
Luckily, a relatively quick spin, although William Potts up to second at least after pretty much his chaotic first 5 now, these first 5 laps. Dichinowski is just pretty much taking advantage of this and just trying to drive away as quickly as possible. But a great drive for William Potts, and from being one position out as the caution flies to being within a transfer spot. That was for the 00.
He tried to get it going. This is after his initial hit, but it looks like his engine blew. Yeah, just up in a puff of smoke. They do have one spare car. I think Jones might be a little too far down to try and get into this, so he looks like he will be our one eliminated at this point. He's already 2 laps down from the leaders.
Still running with a with a heavily damaged engine, unfortunately, and it did end up blowing up in turns 3 and 4 just when he got past the pit exit or pit entry as well. So not the best timing, as well as the fact that Jones has to wait for tow. So I'm not sure if he'd be waved back on the lead lap.
He's got to hope for somebody else to have some troubles here, or else for sure he's unfortunately going to be out early as we wait for the pace truck to let them go for a second time. Dichinowski is going to have control. Oh, and boy, William Potts took off early. Is that going to be a black flag for the number 44?
It seemed to be a single file restart, so we'll have to wait and really see what happens after that. Not sure really what was going on there, but regardless, still a second place battle between both McLeod and Dichinowski at the moment, between the 18 and the 88.
So the 88 manages to get by Matthew. McLeod back up into second. Remember, he got tipped out of the way by the 18 earlier on. Potts not giving way. So kind of curious why the 44 was allowed to just take off that early and go on through. We've got 10 laps to go. Oh, but he's already under threat because Ryan McLeod working that bottom line quite well.
Doing an absolutely incredible job at working the inside lane, and that's going to pull him into the lead as Potts tries to pull that momentum off of turn number 2 up on the outside lane, but the outside lane, it's too early, unfortunately, as, yeah, there he goes.
Just smacks the outside wall, loses first and second place. Dichinowski still doing what he can to run down the 88. He already took the lead away once, but can he do it cleaner this time? Ryan McLeod continuing to cycle around the bottom, close to the bottom at least. Down to 7 laps to go now.
So again, top 5 advance, and Sean Jones unfortunately at the top 5. That's, I was gonna say, waiting for someone to make a mistake as Dichinowski does, but not enough to at least pull him out of the race.
Very shallow down into turn 1. I could see that one coming. Unfortunately, he powered his way out of the turn and up into the wall the car went. Oh, behind him, the 44 making a little bit of mistake after threatening to take P2 away from him. So that damage apparently not too bad for Dichinowski, but he can't keep going. This is mostly to set positions at this point. Sean Jones, who is back out on track, is 5 laps down. And 5 laps to go now. Yeah, he is officially out.
It's really unfortunate for Sean Jones at that point, just waiting to see if anything would happen. But now, like you mentioned, Joe, it's going to be trying to figure out who is going to be sorted where. Scott Dagenstein going to be sorted for sure in the 20th place position when we get to the features, as he gets in the outside wall and passed by the leader of Ryan McLeod.
Tried to let them through and just went a little too high and found himself into the concrete as well. 3 laps to go. The 88 with a gap of about 1.2 seconds over Tichanowski comes to the line to start the penultimate lap. Derek Presley in the number 4 currently back in 3rd place. William Potts has lost that podium position. White flag being shown to the number 88. 1 more to go. He had to try and ensure his way through into the feature, and he has done so emphatically. Love that paint job, the splatters across the front. And he sent plenty less colorful stuff, mud, back into the faces of the rest as he wins our heat race here. Tichanowski 2nd. Presley gonna come around for 3rd. Dagenstein into 4th. And William Potts must have had a problem because he's not going to complete all the laps, and he winds up in 5th. That brings us straight to our feature of 20 cars. Let's go through our starting grid here. It is Caden Anderson on the pole with Eric Johnson Jr. starting in 2nd. Casey Tillman starts P3 with Brock Denny in 4th and Travis Barnes in 5th. Outside of row 3 has Bryce Beatty there in P6. Isaiah Gill starts 7th, Kenneth Garber in 8th, and Cole Raz 9th. Andy Johnson rounds out your top 10, Gary.
Starting in 11th is going to be the number 7 of Dylan Huffins. Chris Torres will start 12th on the Huffins outside lane. Eric Cheney starts 13th. 14th place going to be Colin Matthews. Rounding out the top 15 is the 23 of Jeff Peterson. And then we go to the top 5 drivers that we just saw. Advanced from heat race, from the heat race, I should say, is Ryan McLeod starts 16th, Matthew Tichanowski 17th, 18th Derek Presley, 19th going to be Scott Dagenstein, and 20th is William Potts.
Okay, last one was 20 laps. That's 1/5 of what the drivers are going to be doing here. So if you could give the drivers advice, Gary, what do they need to expect and watch out for with this much longer race?
That's going to be for the drivers in the first heat, or the heat race, I should say. That's going to be a hard habit to break for tonight, but regardless, for the drivers in the heat race, well, they know what to expect across the first 20 laps. So these drivers that haven't gone through the top 15, they're going to have to be very careful and make sure to not make any too aggressive moves so early on. Like you mentioned, Joe, it's only 100 laps.
All right, pace truck up and around on the 2nd pace lap. And then Anderson in the number 37 on the bottom. That beautiful purple car. Gonna have control of the field. Truck is in. Green flag is out. 14 of Eric Johnson Jr. started to get a good jump, and then I think he had to lift a little bit down to his inside. The number 18 of Casey Tillman is going to be able to sneak through into 2nd. Down below him as well, the 11 of Barnes and the Taco Bell machine. Looks like he's got an opportunity, trying to continue to demote our 2nd place starter 2 positions early on.
He's going to be doing the best that he can for the moment. Top 4 have just single filed out. And right when I say that, right to the inside goes Eric Johnson Jr. trying to get that 3rd place from Travis Barnes.
A little bit of contact between the 64 of Denny and the 24 of Gill. They both keep it pointed forward. Look at the different lines that you're seeing amongst those top 4 kind of fanning out down the backstretch.
It's a lot of drivers trying to figure out which lanes will properly work for their car, and there it is, majority of the field going to the inside lane. And just like the thing that we mentioned as well during the warm-up session is that 77 in the outside wall still hangs on to it. As on the inside lane, you're gonna have to be very careful to not nick the inside wall.
Oh, and Beatty hits the outside twice now. These things sure can take a beating, but he's got to be careful how much he does that. He falls back to 11th with all the contact that he is made. Battle for 2nd as well. Tillman and Barnes fighting for that one. Barnes on the high side in the 11. Tillman in the number 81. Tries to send it down into the corner, but Barnes finds Tillman exactly where he wants to place his machine.
Bit of contact made, but it's relatively a product here of dirt racing. Of course, well, reasonable contact. And right now, still single file is the majority of the field, as they're all now rotating on the inside lane. And this is going to be one of those moments where you're going to figure out, well, trying to really wonder which driver is going to be the first to go to the outside.
Chris Torres had a bit of a spin. He gets the car going. Ooh, looks like we also have Brock Denny around in the number 64. He also back on the track and running, is slotted into 10th. Still no caution yet. So far, just minor incidents that the stewards are going to let slide. I see a
to the outside.
Go ahead.
Travis Barnes for second place.
Still working on it. He likes that higher line, and he's got the momentum. He makes the 81 eat his dust, but he's going to try and come back at him. Tillman still working that lower line. Now he has to give up the ghost. He gets back to the racing line. Oh, wow, the 11 really likes that higher line as he follows it up and goes clear around the outside of Anderson. Our leader doesn't quite complete the pass. Little bit of a tip between them. 37 can't get the grip, and already up to the front, Travis Barnes going from 5th on the grid to 1st.
And great job, and I think we figured out which lane is really going to be utilized well, and I was about to say, so does Caden Anderson. You see here from this gearbox shot that Caden Anderson falling right in the tire tracks, but unfortunately he wasn't able to run that exact same line.
Behind them, a little bit of a battle between Raz and Huffins, the 7 and the 21. This is for 6th position. I think Raz is going to come away with it. Indeed, he does. 7 has no response.
Sub points, it's a bit of a matter of waiting, trying to look and see which other driver is using a different lane. Maybe use that instead, or just experiment yourself.
Oh, we had a car on the outside wall. William Potts in the 44. Oh, having problems, and he gets run into from behind. That's Stichanovsky, who unfortunately got there, and the caution is out. So what stopped him here? Did he just make his own mistake? Because he was kind of parked right at the exit of 4. Oh, whoa! A little too much heat into the corner. Then as he takes off, the 18, yep, just didn't get the memo.
That's unfortunately just a late call of the caution there. But regardless, caution is out, but unfortunately William Potts, even with that front end damage alone, pretty much already out for this portion of the race.
All right, so your order now is Barnes, Anderson, Tillman, Johnson Jr., and Isaiah Gill for your top 5. Boy, the 11 is showing himself to be pretty canny with that racing line. Going clear around the outside of a couple cars. But already we're getting double file as the lights have come off. Gonna restart, we're gonna get among our drivers. This is gonna be a slightly different beast than before. Ooh, 37 went a little too early. Still keeps himself from getting swamped by everyone from behind. The 81 of Tillman on the low side, up into the wall goes Anderson.
He luckily does hang on to it up on the outside lane, but right now Isaiah Gill in the, well, not exactly in the middle, someone who is in the middle is Eric Johnson, as he's surrounded by both the 21 and the 7.
Still a battle for second place between Tillman and Anderson. They got a car down low being lapped. That's Jeff Peterson just trying to stay out of the way. Nicely done.
Oh, the 44 of Potts. And the 23 Peterson.
Oh, we got multiple cars into that lapped car. Peterson, unfortunately, just got turned around at the bottom, and I think the 7 of Huffins got the worst of it. Yeah, he's going to come across this first. And everybody just kind of piles in.
23. Oh man, the 7 unfortunately involved as well. Heavy front end damage.
All right, so let's see what this has done to our order. Barnes still leading. Tillman managed to hold on to second. Anderson into third. Gill up to fourth from that. Now Cole Raz inherits a position. He finds himself P5.
Very much working his way up through the field quietly but steadily as the lights on the pace truck should be possibly out this time. But I'm just double checking to make sure, and they are out.
All right, everybody swings up to double file. Again, going one more time here on lap 25. Quarter of the way through of this 100-lap race. There goes the pace truck. Oh, and they've thrown the caution. I think, well, yeah, I'm getting, yeah, we're getting the yellow. It was thrown almost immediately as soon as the green should have come out, so it must have been some miscommunication behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's a few drivers still trying to get that lined up, get the wave around as well, around the field. So they're going to be waiting for the pace truck here.
Hopefully this doesn't cause some issues like we had in round 1 back at Concord. Now that caused a few bugs to come out. Still have 15 cars left on the lead lap.
And everyone is caught up, so we should be good to go back green, and Travis Barnes still in control.
Yeah, they're already double file. Good call on that. So, green flag is out, but the 81 unfortunately just not able to get down to the inside before Caden Anderson puts his car there. In fact, Anderson's already looking to the lead, trying to see if he can take this back away from the 11. A lot of double file, couple 3 wide racing in the mid pack as they come down the front stretch. Anderson solidly into second, but couldn't solidify first rather. Tillman's going to look underneath them. Behind him, side by side between Gill and Raz as well.
Cole Raz looking to try and get relatively redemption from Phoenix. He was capable of getting those podium positions, but unfortunately, if I do recall correctly, that was not the case at Phoenix. So he's going to be trying his hand here at Lanier and try and get that 3rd place at the least.
At Cheney, Eric Cheney in the 76 go around, but he gets it going, no caution, as he's able to move before the leaders come back around. So Anderson's got the bit between his teeth, starting to figure things out in this dirt racing. Tries to slide it up. Boy, a lot of different lines behind them though, and the most momentum going to the 21 of Cole Raz, but he just can't get enough straightaway to do anything with it. He's still stuck back in 6th as the 81 smacks the wall. He's going to inherit a position.
That's about 3 different cars inheriting that position as the caution comes out.
That's Ryan McLeod in the 88, I think, that brought that one out.
Yep.
I think this is through 3 and 4. He's going to lose it on his own.
Oh man, just absolutely no steering. By the looks of that, it must be
Hardware
in
failure
some
of
way.
some sort?
It's either that or actual steering damage.
Yeah, just went limp on him, unfortunately. And Travis Barnes still your leader. Anderson back up to 2nd, as we mentioned. Isaiah Gill gets promoted into 3rd. Brock Denny recovering after an early contact with the outside wall sent him backwards. He's recovered to 4th. Cole Raz still in P5. Tillman, unfortunately, who was up in 2nd place, finds himself waiting down in 6th. And are we already getting ready to go green here? Nope, excuse me. Just looked like they were getting doubled up. Well, maybe they are.
Oh, they are.
Okay. These cautions are fast. Not that I'm complaining. Green flag is out. Ooh, very good start from Anderson. He's going to have the desired cushion on the outside. The 11 of Travis Barnes, though, keeps it tucked down nicely. He'll stay in the lead. Here comes Gill. 24 gets underneath the 37. Can't find the grip down there, though. Looks like Anderson will at least retain second temporarily.
Right now, nearly three
another
wide.
caution.
Caution is back out.
Ditchanoski, I think? Yeah, looks like Ditchanoski is the one that kicked this one off in the number 18. The 28 and the 29 also going to get collected. There you see them.
Turn 3, yeah, it's pretty much a 3-car, also synchronized spin. Everyone going for the same real estate there.
And a lucky escape from Matthews. That was the 29 of the green and black you saw sneaking by. Instead, it collected the 23 of Peterson in the end and spun him around. A little bit of yellow fever here, middle of this race. But even with all the cautions, we're seeing a fair bit of swapping of positions, it seems, Gary.
Yeah, that is very true. A lot of drivers swapping positions. Travis Barnes up to first, and a couple drivers, of course, still just lurking within the top 3, top 5 positions. They know that they have the opportunities to get around there, but unfortunately, with the cautions, it's slowing up their momentum and most likely throwing off their rhythm.
Could be. As we come back around for another restart, here we go again. Caden Anderson is starting to get the trick of this down. But can he actually execute the pass? He's been trying. Oh, he might have it this time. He's got a nose ahead, and he's going to have the cushion to the outside. Travis Barnes, what has he got up his sleeve? Does he have anything up his sleeve? No! He slips up off the corner. There goes the 37 of Anderson up to the front for the first time in a while.
And using that same outside lane that the 11 did just, well, probably at this point about 20 laps ago, but a great job by Caden Anderson. He's solidifying himself quite literally in that lane, but, well, Barnes is not letting him go without a fight.
Don't count out Brock Denny in the number 64. He's working the high side, looking to take third away from Gill. Couldn't quite get it done. Goes for the slide job down underneath. The Barbie car, unfortunately, does not have enough get up, and he's going to have to saddle up and try again. Meanwhile, the 24 of Isaiah Gill now looking forward up to the Taco Bell car of Travis Barnes, who's been hounding the number 37 ever since he lost that lead.
Right now, not letting that go, and I think Isaiah Gill, by the looks of this, will be joining in on that fight. Now that he's not battling the 64, as Travis Barnes gets to the inside for the lead in turns 3 and 4, tries to utilize that, sticks to the left front tire on the inside lane, and here comes Isaiah Gill, almost, probably, could have made it 3 wide there up on the outside lane.
Boy, brave stuff from these two. Racing very close, they're gonna come together. A little bit of beating and banging. Just keeping a nose ahead down the straights. Anderson is denying the lead from Travis Barnes. Isaiah Gill, like you said, seeing if he can make this 3 wide, but there's no room at the end.
Unfortunately, he's just going to be stuck here watching this battle unfold in front of him, trying to figure out an open lane, sticks his nose through there, down to the inside, contact made between both Anderson and Barnes, and they are just absolutely shredding paint left, right, and center, quite literally at least, in terms of where any scrapes could occur on their car doors. But a wonderful battle as they remain side by side.
I feel like if I was Gill, maybe I'd back off a little bit so that I don't get collected by both Travis and Caden, because they've certainly made enough contact with one another. This could go sour very easily. Almost into the back of the 11. The 24 may be getting impatient now.
I wouldn't be surprised. Might be thinking, well, this is a short track. Might as well try a short track move, a bump and run. Does make contact, nearly turns him around, and he saves it.
Well, that cost him a lot of time. Look at how far he dropped back as our two leaders continue to race side by side and have been for almost this entire green flag run. Down into turn 1 once again. Does he finally have it in front of him? It looks like Travis Barnes takes it back. Will Anderson take this one sitting down? He's still got half the race to go. And a slide job up the inside, over under for the Taco Bell car. They once again hit doors, and the 11's going to come out ahead. Oh, another little contact.
And that brought both of them right back to the front bumper of Isaiah Gill, who was able to get a gap between himself and Brock Denny. So it's pretty much just like a few laps ago, like nothing ever even happened. And it is absolutely incredible that they could still make that much contact and continue forward. It is great.
I'm surprised we're not seeing more of these drivers drift up a little bit and try and use that cushion to go that little bit faster. Gill especially could potentially change up his line, but right now he's sticking with what works. And that's down just behind these two, off that bottom line by ever so much. Into 3 and 4 yet again. And neither of these gladiators is willing to give way. Across the line, and it may come to that in the end. That time through, it was Anderson who led the way. Oh,
Right
here's
now, way up to the top side, as I say, Gill, yeah.
Well, there's my answer. I was wondering if anybody was going to try and work the higher line. He's willing to give it a shot. Didn't seem to work, which again surprises me.
At the same time, you have to at least gradually move the cushion up instead of using, the straight up outside lane as Anderson gets shoved out of the way and bumps the 11 to Barnes right back, trying to get it alongside, but that's not going to be the case. Here comes Gill trying to capitalize.
Oh, too far inside. Aiden goes flipping. Is this a caution? There it is. Oh, that's going to be a definite spare car for the 37. I thought that he was going in awful shallow when he entered that corner.
It was all going so well, and just like that, it is gone for Caden Anderson, at least temporarily. Up on the outside, the lane crosses down a bit too early, and
spectacular wreck for the 37. He's still going, and he's in 8th. I don't. Has he taken his spare car? No, he hasn't.
No, not yet. No.
Boink, and over she goes. On the wheels. Takes a couple times, but rubber down, and off he goes.
You got very lucky that was on the left front side of the car, and I am very surprised that he has not opted to go to pit. No, never mind. There he goes.
So this is going to send him to the back, most likely. Dylan Huffins, it's not a death knoll. Dylan Huffins has been in and out of the pits, and he's up to 8th right now. So it is possible to try and come back out of that. As they wave the lapped cars around and we get going once more. Travis Barnes accelerates. This time it was Gill to his outside, but he is caught napping. The number 64 in the Barbie car, Brock Denny, able to take advantage. He'll work his way into 2nd. Battle for 4th as well. The 81 of Tillman, along with the 21 of Raz.
I'm pretty sure I said Gill frustrated that he's not able to at least catch up to the 11. There he goes to the inside of Brock Denny. Gill knows that he's faster than the 64 of Denny, and well, Barnes, I should say, trying to catch up to 11 of Barnes, correction, but regardless, a great job. Gill just almost clears him, but not enough there off turn 4.
Well, this side-by-side racing behind Travis Barnes is going to help him stretch away. Finally, they go single file. Maybe. Nope. Denny, gets his nose in, but he gets tipped around in front of the entire pack. Are we going to get a caution? He gets it turned around. There's the yellow, as Bryce Beatty, unfortunately, found himself sent into pit lane, and I think he took damage as it looks like he's crabbing hard. Let's watch this one more time. Nope, Beatty he was trying to load the car up, and was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, if there is one safe space to at least spin out, it's into pit road.
I think he's having trouble finding his stall, though. Here's the incident one more time. And of course, the 64 of Denny gets sent to a full 360 before he gets going once again. You can see by the front of Denny's car, the Barbie machine seems to have broken a nail. The front's all banged up. He is running an 8th, though.
So far, not too bad at least, despite getting turned, still able to relatively hang on to it. Although, still lucky that at least his car is running, but might not be running for too much longer with that much front end damage. We'll have to see.
All right, here we go again. Up to lap 66 now. To the final third of this race. A little bit better from Isaiah Gill as the green flag waves. I think he's going to be able to easily stay in second as third goes 3 wide. Cole Raz, Eric Johnson Jr., and then they had Chris Torres way at the bottom. That bottom line didn't work out quite how he wanted. It's a whole mess in the back, 4 wide for a moment in there.
Yeah, a lot of drivers getting shuffled up to the outside lane, although just able to hang on to it. In fact, Koraz might be able to hang on to that 3rd place. We'll see, though, because the 14 of Johnson Jr. fights back on the inside, nearly over-rotates, and he's just able to hang on to it. A huge bobble from the 21. Still, they stay side by side.
And was Huffins into the wall? Yeah, the number 7 gets it going, so I don't think we got a caution. Top 2, Barnes and Gill, single file. Raz and Johnson Jr. looking to settle the final podium position. There you see them side by side. Raz in the red, Johnson Jr. in the black and yellow.
Just like that, turns 1 and 2. It was a great job for Cole Raz, and that inside lane not working out for the 14, but it's working out great for the 21, at least in turns 3 and 4, with 30 laps to go.
Remember, we watched Tillman fall backwards some time ago. Well, the 81 is back up into 5th, although he's squabbling with Chris Torres currently. I think he's going to be able to get that one. Yes, indeed. They pulled a nice slide job on the 99. He can focus forward from here.
Right now, a very large breakaway between the top 4. Top 5 still being battled by Tillman and Torres. Torres not able to get that car rotated, though, unfortunately. Gets tagged as well by the 64 of Denny, just hangs on to it.
Go 3 wide momentarily. Torres down at the bottom. Garber up at the top. And Denny was caught in the middle. He tries to swing it low. Also doesn't seem to work. Can't get the traction off the corner. He watches as the 2 in front of him fight for the 6th position.
Right now, I think at this point it'd be best to just sit back and watch this battle play out and try and figure out which line is going to be the best. 77 to pit road for Bryce Beatty, unfortunately, but this battle will still continue on. This is 64 is closing that gap.
A lot of cars still working that low line, and I think Denny's got a good chance here because the 96 of Garber gets caught out. This could be his best opportunity. No, Garber just sending the car off of turn 4 nicely and denies the chance to Denny. Down the backstretch, both of them now behind Chris Torres, who claims that 6th position. Right on board with them, watching the fight as they almost come together. Oh, and the 96 is going to try to get into the inside of the 99.
Not entirely, well, relatively successful. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but that time not so much. But a great job for the 64 of Denny, who tries to slide job the 99, but fighting back on, or 96 rather. Garber manages to fight back up on the outside.
Two continuing to race, and down under the inside of him, Brock Denny finally manages to make it stick. That'll give him 7th. Can he do anything with Torres? They got a lapped car in front of them. That's Derek Presley in the 4.
Right now, just staying way up out of the way is that number 4 Presley, and understandably so. Just trying to at least distance himself, make sure that he's not going to be impeding anybody. And that may have been a great call, because the 64 still trying to at least get to Torres, but it's still just a continuous 3-car battle here for the 6th place.
Oh, and the car into the outside wall, that was the 29 of Matthews. Also makes contact with the 4. Oh, he's going around. We're going to get a caution from this. He's stuck on the inside. There it is. Oh, and he tries to come back up the track just as the 77 and the 88 come around. That's McLeod and Bryce Beatty, who take a big lick down between 1 and 2. There's the initial spin. Gotta wait for a clear bit of track. And that's not clear track.
At that point, it was much better to wait, at least for the caution to come out, everyone to slow and everyone to pass by.
This is Beatty's perspective. You can understand, yeah, he just could not have expected that car to suddenly appear with that wall in his vision and blocking his view. All right, so we didn't look at the leaders for a long time, but not a lot changed once the cars got away from each other. Barnes leading, Gill second, Cole Raz third, Johnson Jr. fourth, and Casey Tillman into fifth. We're getting ready to restart right here. They're very tightly packed together, eager to go, with Barnes leading the way. Green flag is out underneath in the 21. I think that we might have a chance for a change for second. Cole Raz, yes, a perfect slide job on the restart. Gill gets demoted. He might lose one more. Here comes the 81.
This works as a correction as well from what I said earlier. Slow car stopped up the outside lane.
It's the 29 again of Matthews. Unfortunately, he must have lost it on the restart. No caution. Everybody avoided him, and he looks like he took a tow. So they're going to keep this running green. Narrowly escaped disaster there with the entire pack barreling down. Tillman, who's been working on Gill, can't make it work all the way. And the 14 of Eric Johnson Jr., who was temporarily side by side with Tillman, also has to fall into line.
So back to the original point that I was going to make correction on what I said last time when Cole Raz was out. I thought he finished outside the podium positions. In fact, he finished third at Phoenix in the ARCA cars, so second place here. He showed that he is very dominant. Unfortunately, 23 stuck in the outside wall, but still staying out of everyone's way. Raz might be able to challenge for the lead, but Barnes has been proven the most dominant so far.
I think it's fair to say that he's probably led the most laps today. I think Cole Raz is going to try and deny him the sweet feeling of victory here at Lanier, but we're coming down to the final few laps. And as we saw, that 11 knows how to fight side by side. It's going to take more than just a lap to probably get this done.
11 knows how to work the track as well, but so does the top 3. Oh no, slow car Presley just gets out of the way.
Yeah, that was the 4 of Derek. And now he's going to go high, keep out of the way of our leaders. That held up Barnes. The 21 was able to get right up to the rear bumper, just can't quite do anything with it. Now to 9 to go as they cross the line. And there is, of course, the 24 of Gill ready to pick up the scraps if those two come together.
I'll say no fault to Presley. He had over-rotated in turns 3 and 4, tried to catch it. Unfortunately, he caught it right to the point where he was in front of the leader. So no fault to Presley. He's just trying to hang on to it. So I can see why he really wouldn't want to go to pit road. Regardless, though, slowly closing in on the end of these, on the end of this run. And I say a Gill might be wanting to get a repeat of what happened at Phoenix to get that second place finish once again.
They come up to another lapped car, Dichinowski in the number 18, just ahead of them. And, oh, another one, Ryan McLeod. Now, that's not for position between McLeod and Dichinowski, so they should be able to stay out of each other's ways. 88 sees him. He's going to duck down low. What about the 18? He's going to stay way up high. Oh, but he's into the wall. If he swings back around, he's going to slot perfectly in between. Nicely done by everyone.
Yeah, great heads-up driving by both Raz and Gill to back off there up on the outside, but I'm pretty sure they at least a bit more than enjoyed the 18 to back off just a little bit, give them the preferred lane. Raz having to back out because he knows, yep, up on the outside lane with 4 laps to go, that might be pretty much it, and slowing down to 21.
Yep, 4 left, and he doesn't have the preferred line as Travis Barnes just rifles off quick laps here at the end of the race. Will we have a caution, though, before this is over? Remember, that could end it. Travis Barnes comes down to 3 to go, and he's got it out to 1 second over Cole Raz.
Again, back to Phoenix, Cole Raz and Isaiah Gill. The last time they were pretty much in these podium positions at Phoenix, they finished, well, 3rd and 2nd respectively. 2 laps to go. At this point, Raz is just looking to hold off Gill.
Gill, as much as he's been looking around, seeing if there's anything he can do to get by, he's not close enough to attack. White flag comes out for Travis Barnes. We are indeed going to finish under green. And the number 11 going to rack up another victory. Looks like the Taco Bell car going to be saved by the bell as he sees the checkered flag and wins here in Georgia. Raz with a 2nd ahead of Isaiah Gill. Eric Johnson Jr. with a 4th. And Brock Denny with a well-earned top 5.
Really great race. Great job by Travis Barnes to utilize the outside lane initially on that first pass for the lead.
Everybody else comes across the line to finish up, so we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Lanier National Speedway. With the dirt placed on the track, it appears that Travis Barnes could not be outrun by anybody. He certainly controlled this race much of the way. Cole Raz tried to challenge him towards the end, coming up from 9th on the grid. Just didn't have enough in it, but he settles for 2nd regardless. Isaiah Gill with a podium himself. Eric Johnson Jr. falling backwards, starting from the front row and finishing in 4th, is followed by Brock Denny, rounding out your top 5. Kenneth Garber was 6th, and a good climb forwards as well for Chris Torres, going from 12th into 7th. Dylan Huffins will wind up in 8th. Casey Tillman, unfortunately, got caught up in some accidents and went from 3rd down to 9th. Eric Cheney was the last car on the lead lap in 10th.
Finishing in 11th is Jeff Peterson. Matthew Dushanowski started 17th, finished 12th, albeit unfortunately 1 lap down. Derek Presley finished in 13th with Ryan McLeod 14th, and then problems for 15th through 20th being Bryce Beatty, Kyle Matthews, Caden Anderson, Andy Johnson, William Potts, and Scott Dagenstein.
With that, we've got our winner ready to talk to us. Travis Barnes showing he knows how to give it some gas in that Taco Bell car. It looks like that 11 was really hooked up today, and you were controlling things quite well other than a few side-by-side battles.
Yeah, car was feeling really good. I could work the throttle pretty well and came off the corner pretty nice. It was pretty much the smoothest race I've done all season, so nothing to complain about. Went out and laid down the fastest lap time, led the most laps. Felt good.
I have to admit, I was a little surprised at how many drivers kept with the lower line. Were you expecting that it wouldn't climb up much higher around here?
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't. Usually these street stocks are a bit slower, so that inside line, once it gets slicked out like that, and like the track mainly gets slicked out, the inside line becomes faster. But when around lap 10 or so, you could rail that outside pretty well. I was getting a couple passes and worked out pretty well.
We did spot a few of those on the broadcast. So first time up to the dirt here in the South Sound Speedway E Series, but we're heading back to the pavement. How do you feel about Michigan, which is going to be definitely a larger track for you guys?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm not too good at the big tracks. Tire management's gonna be a big key, and it's gonna be fun. So I look forward to it. It's a challenge.
Oh, we'll look forward to seeing how you fare as well. That was Travis Barnes, our winner in the number 11 today. Up next, our fourth place finisher, Eric Johnson Jr., ready to talk to Gary Weaver.
Yeah, here with the driver of the number 14, starts second, finished fourth. So on paper, not too bad of a day, really, but a wonderful job with battling and staying up within that top five.
I appreciate you saying that, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me here. Yeah, it was definitely a battle to get there. We fell back a little bit, but super happy to bring it back to a top five, especially with a pretty good sized field like this. So pretty happy with the day, but big congrats there to Travis Barnes on such a dominant win.
Heading into next week, echoing the same question that Joe did ask, is that we go to Michigan next week. So again, pretty much a huge showcase of skills as well as the complete variety of the schedule that we have here. So your thoughts for Michigan next week, or next race,
Yeah.
I should say.
I really think you're going to see kind of expect the same people up front with these. A lot of these guys really basing a lot of their time up in A class. So Travis Barnes, Cole Raz, Isaiah, Caden Anderson. You're going to see a lot of those guys out front, but it's definitely going to be a multi-groove race. I think it's going to really show pretty much exactly what the series was designed for. Different aspect of our drivers, and I really think it's going to be another interesting watch. Absolutely.
And before I go ahead and let you go ahead and give us a shout out those who helped you get that fourth place finish.
Oh, absolutely. I just, of course, my sponsors keep KPS and Valley Skates Landscaping, but also my parents for helping with everything that goes on in the background of this series, helping everything out, watching, supporting me. So I appreciate you guys, love you guys, and everyone else in my family watching, love you guys too. So just couldn't be happier with having all the support.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations, Eric Johnson, on your fourth place finish.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for your time.
That's it for our interviews tonight. We also want to echo some thank yous to our sponsors for the series. Of course, Key Property Services. If you want to find out how to get their services, they are at kpsinc.net, kpsinc.net. And then, of course, United Roofs. Their website is unitedroofs.com. A big thank you goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. So we've listed them here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. There you can see how you can get a hold of her Bandcamp to check out more of her awesome work. Thanks to the team today, Gary, Sean, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. There's also our social media accounts, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. If you don't want to type that out, we've got a link in the description below. But while you're down there looking at that description, make sure and subscribe to our YouTube page by hitting the big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment on GSRC. As we mentioned, heading up north to Michigan, that's going to be in the ARCA cars this next time. Very powerful machines that they're going to have to try and wield around there. Saturday, December 19th, that'll be at 10 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.